I'm so deeply glad that all of you are here, and that I think you all know on some level why we came to sit here tonight. There are demonstrations right now all over the world, and it's called Light for Liberty, and it's happening all over the world. And in Santa Fe, oddly, there isn't anything. And what I found out was people are demonstrating in Albuquerque and Estancia and in Taos. Now, why Estancia? Because there is planned to build another holding camp there. So people are going there to demonstrate. And I just felt that it was very important, and we all felt that we do something. I know that we're all feel overwhelmed by all that's going on so many levels. But here we are sitting. And as Buddhists, we can't turn from this reality. You know, it's easy or sometimes necessary, we numb out. But I think we have to keep this alive. So even though we're sitting tonight, it doesn't mean pushing it aside and staying with your breath. Instead, hold it all. This is a big holding. And I just want to read a few things that are going on. Refugees may be transferred to military sites, which will make it harder for trust advocates to monitor the situation and promote aid. On June 11th, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services announced that up to 1,400 unaccompanied migrant children would be moved from Texas to Fort Sill, Oklahoma, a former internment camp for the Japanese Americans during World War II, and before that, the Apache people. Now, we've heard so many things all over, but there's actually things happening in New Mexico, in southern New Mexico. I listened on the radio, and I think it burned holes in my head that I can't forget. There are hundreds of children in a holding place down in southern New Mexico with no windows. And during the winter, it was very cold. Nothing to sleep on but the concrete floors. And some of them had, what are those silvery things called when you go camping? Emergency blankets. A few of them had it. And 2 children's doctors went down and was able to go in. And they said the most haunting thing of all was the rippling of those blankets. And as far as food, they were given sandwiches 3 times a day, but the sandwiches are frozen, and often they're just given to the children frozen. No medical references, nothing there. And this was in our state. That's almost enough for us to sit with. And what can we do? Well, one of the things that I'm proposing, and Upaya, especially the residents here, are really behind it, that we sit every Friday night holding the situation. And perhaps out of that, some clarity will come of something else we can do. And because I think it's healthy, rather than saying we'll hold it forever, because I think we're going to have great patience. This isn't going to change overnight. But let's create a structure, say at the beginning, for 8 weeks. We're going every Friday night. If you're here, please come and sit with us for 8 weeks, and then we'll extend it again, rather than the idea, oh, it's forever, and I'll come once in a while. So let's create the structure out of that. So for the next 8 weeks, and I thank the people who live at Upaya who are going to hold it. And actually, I think we're going to pick 3 residents to begin the first 8 weeks of holding it. People are very eager to do something. And really, what I learned from Kaz Tanahashi is not to despair, but to sit with that suffering. And if you have an idea in the peripheral of your mind, even if it seems outrageous or stupid or unattainable, hold it and maybe make some effort toward it. But the Friday nights here, we will kind of compost. We'll compost our energy and see if something more can happen, because something more really needs to happen. I think I'll just read a little bit more. I have a longtime student who's heading the Buddhist Peace Coalition in New York, and they are really coming together. And this is one of the things that they have. As followers of the Buddha's teachings, members of the Buddhist Action Coalition have heard the call to put the sterling values of loving kindness and compassion into practice. In response, we will be joining the Lights of Liberty demonstration in New York City today at Foley Square. Through our participation, we'll be protesting the heartless way our government has been treating undocumented immigrants and asylum seekers. We will be expressing solidarity with them in their time of tribulation and demanding that our government show respect for their inherent dignity and provide them with the care they need following their long and difficult journey. Specifically, we'll be asking our government to reunite children with their parents, to provide all migrants with adequate food, medical care, and other requisites, and to offer the newly arriving migrants and other undocumented immigrants the chance to make their case for lawful residency in the United States. And I don't know if you've heard, there's a lot of children coming by themselves and trying to get across. There's a phenomena of when parents come, a mother leaves their children to come to the US to seek better work and keep sending money home. These kids miss their parents so much, miss their mother so much, that eventually they build the courage to to jump on trains, on the top of trains, in terrible situations by themselves, in determination to get across the border and find their mothers. So that is happening a lot, and there's been a lot of studies of that. So it's very big what's happening, and let's really sit with it. This is our chance to wake up with everyone, and at the same time help. Okay? Yeah, thank you.
Good evening, everybody. In the 60s, we had a lot of demonstrations, and they were what either you participated in or you read about. They were active. They were loud. They were disorderly. They were orderly. They were fierce in many ways. But I'm so grateful, Natalie, to you to bring up what you brought up. If people come together in the Sendo on Friday night, they will demonstrate quietly to each other that caring matters, that solidarity matters, that community matters, that human community matters, and that those children matter. It's about the children. Of course, it's about the parents. It's about the children, the smallest, the ones who can't possibly understand what's happening. I mean, we can't understand what's happening, so how could they understand? And so no matter how small the group may be, the fact that we come together and demonstrate to each other that it matters, that we want it to matter, that we want it to matter to us, and recognize that we are demonstrating not for ourselves. We're demonstrating for the benefit of everybody else who's there. To say, I'm with you, I support you, I want to encourage you. Let's do this together. Because there is no doing it alone. Of course, there's no doing alone anyway, but there's no doing this alone. It's just too massive. It's too gigantic. This is governmental policy of this nation. That's how people is. It's not just one crazy guy doing something. It's a whole government built up. We have to admit it. And I know that admitting it can make you feel afraid, that you'll be overwhelmed if you really feel what's going on here. Fear can make us quite tentative. Fear is powerful. But fearlessness is powerful. And when we act in community, we no longer have to depend only upon our own emotional, spiritual, physical lives to allow that fearlessness to rise. It takes fearlessness to feel what's going on in this country with those children. I don't think it takes anything less than that. When we breathe in, if we really breathe it in, if we really take it in, if we really let it go as deeply and fully and completely inside of ourselves as possible, that is a huge storehouse of energy waiting to be released on the exhale. When a community is willing to breathe it in, take it in, embody it, the chances of what will be released, the ability to transform that delusion, transform that pain to something good, is huge. Not that thing. Natalie, when you were speaking, you reminded me of when I went to Auschwitz with our dear Bernie. Of course, everything in Auschwitz will break you. But what shattered me completely was standing on the site where Mengele killed the children. I fell to the ground and it was destroyed. And I was so glad that nobody came to help me because I needed to be destroyed so that I could get to the bottom of what it was. No, I will work against anything like this. We have to be willing to go through. I shouldn't speak for you, but I'd like to speak for you. I hope you will go to the bottom. I hope you will go to the bottom on behalf of each other. Because then when you come up from the bottom, it's big and it's true. So please forgive me if I seem to speak for you, but I want to. This morning we chanted a chant in my Juku Kanonyo for Avalokiteshvara. Most of you may know awakened being or awakening being of compassion. We chant in the morning, be one with Avalokiteshvara. Avalokiteshvara means the one who hears the cries of the world. One of the great figures in Buddhism, figuring in Buddhism of this Bodhisattva, this awakening being, is Avalokiteshvara. Avalokiteshvara has 1,000 arms and hands, and at the center of each hand and palm is an eye. Many of you may know this. This is brilliant because it means that perceiving the suffering of the world and taking in your hands the solution to that is native to what you are. Seeing and acting are one thing. It's not enough just to see and say, oh, I'm sorry. Seeing and doing go together, at least in the Buddha Dhamma. So please, take that. This is the beginning of our Hanshan, our retreat. And I don't want to, I think it would be impolite to leave Hanshan out of Hanshan's retreat. Hanshan, in many ways, also was a bodhisattva of compassion. And many of Hanshan's points will awaken compassion. And so this is what Hanshan wrote about the situation we're in right now. He wrote it around the year 700. Rich people meet at a tall building, decorated with shining lamps. When a woman, without even a candle, wants to draw near, they quickly push her away, back into the shadows. How does adding someone diminish the light? I wonder, can't they spare it?
Thank you, Natalie. Thank you, Peter. I'd like to read a very short and simple poem. Titled Encounter. Human to human, encountering at this very moment. How rare, how precious. Human to human, knowing one another at this very place. How rare, how precious. Human to human, forming a family in this world. How rare, how precious. Human to human, loving each other in this lifetime. How rare, how precious. So we are all humans. And then we are all family. So, human family. Doesn't matter people coming from far away, having so much hardship, poor, maybe even so. More so, we should have respect, love, and compassion. We are all in one family. Children, parents, babies. They deserve our respect, love, and compassion. Thank you.
last week I talked about moral suffering, and I said among many things that I think it's really important that we experience moral injury. We experience shame for what our government is doing. I've just come back from Australia with this sense of deep inspiration, having spent a week with almost 1,000, around 800 women, Buddhist practitioners from all over Asia. And being in that big community, I felt ashamed. How many people came up to me, how many women came up to me and said, "What is your country doing?" Now, it's not as though Australia is free of nationalism. That's not the point. The point is to, as the Buddha taught, to turn directly toward the first noble truth, the truth of suffering. Now, I also spoke about moral outrage because as Peter was reflecting and Nat was reflecting, and what my tendency is to feel not only anger toward what is happening, but disgust, deep disgust, which makes me want to do what we did in the 60s, Peter, and I think that was pretty good, actually, which is to shame and blame others. But our practice is not just that. It is to understand our responsibility in one way or another for the suffering at our nation's borders, not just southern border, but all of our nation's borders. And also to recognize, like the Berlin Wall came down, walls can drop. So our teaching here is also about the truth of impermanence. Things can change, but they change not just only naturally, they change also because of people like us. So I wanted to talk for a minute about Emma Lazarus. Now, I have my two Jewish friends here, my Japanese friend here. They're familiar with concentration camps. Also, that the four of us have been to Auschwitz with Bernie and have touched and been touched by that devastation and Bernie's incredible vision and commitment, which was never to let that happen again. And yet, we're in the middle of this situation. This extraordinary woman, a Jew, who wanted to help, to support, to create the funds, accumulate the funds for the base, the foundation of the Statue of Liberty, wrote a sonnet, which now is associated with the Statue of Liberty. And I want to just give you some background. It is so fascinating. The granite pedestal upon which the statue stands is 89 feet tall. In 1883, in an effort to raise the money to construct the pedestal, Emma Lazarus wrote a poem called The New Colossus. Persuaded by fundraiser William Maxwell Evarts and trend writer Constance Carey Harrison, she donated this poem to an auction of art and literary works to aid this pedestal fund. What are we doing to create a foundation by this and by our lives? The sonnet was engraved on a bronze plaque and presented by philanthropist Georgiana Schuyler to be mounted on the interior wall of the pedestal in 1903. I just want to point out how many women were stirring around in this particular project. And the poem is this. Some of you know this poem, some of the lines, but I'm going to just give you the whole thing. Not like the brazen giant of Greek fame. She just hits it right at the beginning. With conquering limbs astride from land to land. Here at our sea-washed sunset gates shall stand a mighty woman with a torch, whose flame is the imprisoned lightning, and her name, Mother of Exiles. Mother of Exiles. From her beacon hand glows worldwide welcome. Her mild eyes command the air-bridged harbor that twin cities frame. Quote, keep ancient lands, your storied pomp. Boy, we got some pomp going on these days. Forgive me, Emma, for breaking into your poem, but keep ancient lands, your storied pomp, cries she with silent lips. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed, to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden pool. The first two lines refer to the Colossus of Rhodes, a statue of the Greek god Helios, which stood in the city of Rhodes in Greece. The statue, which was about 107 feet tall, was one of the tallest statues in the ancient world and was therefore considered one of its seven wonders. It was destroyed by an earthquake in 226 BC. At 151 feet tall, the Statue of Liberty is more colossal than the Colossus of Rhodes and stands not for conquering power as he did, but welcome and hope. She tells ancient Greece to keep her storied pomp and give her instead the tired, poor, and homeless. I just want to read that one more time. Not like the brazen giant of Greek fame, with conquering limbs stride from land to land. Here at our sea-washed sunset gates shall stand a mighty woman with a torch, whose flame is the imprisoned lightning, and her name, Mother of Exiles. From her beacon hand glows worldwide welcome. Her mild eyes command the air-bridged harbor that twin cities frame. Keep ancient lands, your storied pomp, cries she with silent lips. Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free. The wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless, tempest-tossed, to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. So it's really important to recall our deepest hope, our aspirations, to vow once again to end suffering in this world, to live accordingly. And in that spirit, as we close this hour that's being live streamed, so others can participate who were not able to be here this evening, or in their living rooms or offices in various places around the world. We'd like to invite us all to chant the 4 vows of the Bodhisattva, remembering who we really are and what our imperative is.
Creations are numberless, I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible, I vow to transform them. Reality is boundless, I vow to perceive it. The awakened way is unsurpassable, I vow to embody it. Creations are numberless, I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible, I vow to transform them. Reality is boundless, I vow to perceive it. The awakened way is unsurpassable, I vow to embody it. Creations are numberless, I vow to free them. Delusions are inexhaustible, I vow to transform them. Reality is boundless, I vow to perceive it. The awakened way is unsurpassable, I vow to